the honourable guests for their speech, and I now look to Peter Hitchens to close the opposition case and indeed the debate as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've never been in a debate before, I have to say, Mr. Brooks, where somebody has attacked a speaker who wasn't here for a speech that wasn't made. But it's an interesting technique, and no doubt it will stand you in good stead in the long and successful career which no doubt awaits you in the world to come. I just wondered, before I began, to put in your mind the following thought. How would it be, do you think, if Oxford University was a safe space for me? What sort of place would it be? How would you like it if I whimpered and cried about all the things which I see and hear, which I find distressing, unpleasant, and in many ways frightening about the world? I have no business imposing such a thing on you, and I wouldn't even seek to do so. What matters in debate is fundamentally whether you are right or whether you are wrong, whether what you say can be measured properly against facts, logic, and moral rightness. And if it can't be, then you've lost the argument. But if it can be, then you can win. But it should not be about emotion. Now, many, many years ago, when I was a young fanatic, I had pinned to the wall of my monk-like cell at the University of York the following words. I used to know them by heart, but they've slipped. I cannot praise a fugitive and cloistered virtue, unexercised and unbreathed, that never sallies out and seeks her adversary, but slinks out of the race where that immortal garland is to be run for, not without dust and heat. You will all recognize that, of course, as John Milton's Areopagitica, the great trumpet call for free speech, which he issued shortly before he started censoring publications on behalf of Oliver Cromwell. An unfortunate turn in his career, which he probably didn't anticipate when he wrote it. Nonetheless, the words stand. What we have before us is quite simply an argument against John Milton, against what he says, that if you are not prepared to face the dust and the heat of real argument, you really shouldn't be in it, and you certainly shouldn't be at a university. Because there are maybe places, in fact there are many places in this country now, particularly workplaces in the public sector, where it is extremely dangerous to speak your mind. There are many schools where it is dangerous to speak your mind. There are schools where children are asked, I've learnt recently, children are asked by teachers how their parents voted in the referendum and are subjected to disapproval from their teachers when it turns out that their parents voted the wrong way or read the wrong newspaper. We do not live actually in a society where free speech is available to quite a lot of people, quite a lot of poor people, quite a lot of people working in certain places. You are privileged to have a different experience. You are able to speak and think freely. And by the way, if you stop speaking freely, you will very rapidly cease to think freely, for that which cannot be expressed, as George Orwell warned a very long time ago, that which cannot be expressed cannot be thought. Now, much of what has been said by the proposition this evening has been eloquent, moving, and persuasive, indeed seductive. And I think the plea that we had right at the beginning, that we should not be unkind, that we should not be cruel to other people, is one which we should all heed. I have for many years argued that the great strength of what we have to call political correctness, because there is no other phrase which can be used, hate it as I do, that the best argument for it and the reason for its strength is that it appeals to that thing which says that you should be kind and good-mannered, and that is what has made it so successful. And what we have here largely is an argument about a particular kind of politics which has become extremely important and common and powerful in the past 25 years, sexual politics. Sexual politics are by their nature highly personal. Simply by expressing, which I will not trouble you with tonight, simply by expressing my views on sexual morality, on marriage, on the way in which society should organize itself in this fashion, on the family, I could very easily upset and offend people who disagreed with those things which I profoundly believe in, and I believe in them to the extent that I would not abandon those views under any pressure. But here I stand in a place, in a university, in a world where actually I do have to be careful what I say. And here is your safe space. It is a space in which people become increasingly nervous about saying what they really think. And that is a form of censorship. You don't need, Mr. Brooks, you don't need to have people banned from campuses. You don't need to have people told that they cannot speak. All you need is to have many, many, many people, some of them you've never heard of, some of them sitting next to you in a tutorial, who are afraid to speak because of what might happen to them if those who believe in the policy of safe space come after them as they do. The problem with safe space is this: appealing as many of the arguments for it are, it is a euphemism. It is a euphemism for imposing on us all a fear of speaking our minds freely. Applied to this now, what will it be applied to next? Where will it end? I'll tell you where it ends. It ends in silence. And if you want silence, and if you want places like this to cease to be, if you want newspapers which express views that you don't like to cease to be published, not just at the moment, if you want newspapers with which you disagree to cease to be published, programs on the television and radio which you do not like to cease to be transmitted, then a safe space is what you should pursue, because it is a nice, agreeable, polite, appealing, seductive way of obtaining what it really is, and that is censorship. I do urge you very strongly to vote against this motion. Thank you so much.